Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Kickin' It with Karan. Today I've got a compute PM, Sanjay Pillai, with me. Hey Sanjay, how you doing, man? Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Karan. Nice to be here.
So I got you here because obviously you guys have been pumping out like features and services all day long. Obviously, congrats on the new, Ampere launch. That was pretty cool. I wanted to kind of like talk to you because there's lots of awesome, cool new features that are out on Compute. Actually, before we dig into that, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit, what you do at Oracle?
Yeah, so my name is Sanjay Pillai. I'm a PM in OCI Compute, and I work on a range of both virtual machine and bare metal features. Obviously, most recently with the Ampere A1. So, but it's been a pretty exciting ride in OCI Compute for the last 3 years.
Nice, very nice, cool. So let's dig into it. So, kind of wanted to talk about this cool new burstable instances. Am I saying it right? Burstable instances.
That is correct. Burstable instance.
Cool. Yeah. So why don't you talk a little bit about what it is and why would customers want to use it?
So, in short, what we see with burstable VMs or burstable instance is an ability for customers to really optimize what their spend is on compute. So, with burstable instance, you're paying for only a part of the CPU cores, and with the ability to use more than that for short periods of time. So for workloads where you're not stressing at high CPU or like mission critical production workloads.
So like web servers, things like that.
Yeah, so
right?
anything other than mission critical stuff. So think about monitoring systems, static websites, even think about like dev tests, right? You just want to spin up a small dev instance, test something out. Why run it at a full core when you don't need to, right? So you get to pay just for the baseline, use just that most of the time, and then have the ability to burst a little bit above, right? So it really allows customers that have got these different workloads to really start to apply those in Oracle Cloud.
Does the bursting happen dynamically, or is this something that you have to preset in terms of like how you're able to use that full core or up to the full core?
That's a great question. So, and that's the advantage of burstable is that it's automatic, it's dynamic. So your workload, when it needs to use it, automatically gets it, unless of course it's competing with other VMs that are also trying to burst. So you don't have to do anything, right? As long as your workload is able to handle the fact that it occasionally bursts and sometimes may not be able to get more than what the baseline is, then it's just something you can resize your workloads to burstable with no really coding or development or deployment changes on your side.
Cool. Do you want to show us something? Maybe show this in action?
Yeah.
See how it looks?
Yeah. So what I want to try to show what it looks like in action. So now what I've got is two VMs running, right? On the right side, I've got one core with a 12.5% baseline. And what I've done on it is I've been running stress behind the scenes. What this VM now is capped to is about 12.5, because that's the baseline, right? You've been constantly running it, you've been maxing it out.
And you can set your own baselines, right?
Correct. So we offer a choice of 12.5 and 50% right now, and more to come later. So with this one, you are able to always get the baseline, but once you have exhausted or used up, it's sort of like burst capacity, you can't get more than the baseline. On the left side, is a similar VM, one core 12.5 baseline, but this is idle. You can see right now there's barely anything being used, right? And now on this one, if I wanted to run like a sysbench workload, right, just to show what's going to happen out here, and you can start to see now it's starting to use more than 12.12.
More of
Yeah,
that
because
core,
it's
right?
got that capability to be able to burst above, right? And so it uses whatever it needs to run that workload, and then when it's done, obviously it'll show you what it's capable of. On the other hand, on the right side one, so this is the one still running with stress on it.
But it's only capped. It's capped at
It's
12.5%,
capped at
right?
12.5%. So if I wanted to try to run sysbench on this, what you're going to see is that it's not really going to be able to go above 12.5. And you will see the results of that. So this is able to run, fast. You can see it's got the full like 4140 events, but which really means it performed as fast as this VM will allow it to, right? But on this one, what you're going to see is the number of events is much smaller because we capped what you were able to do. So what this allows you to do is run your workloads. And when you have been using below baseline, you can easily burst above it, use the full CPU, run your workloads. And then if you go back to idle, it sort of accumulates burst again. And then you can again do that.
Fantastic. Well, that's a pretty cool feature. So let's talk a little bit about some of the other things that you guys have sort of released over the last couple of weeks and months. One thing is capacity reservations or reservations of capacity. People think that cloud is this like infinite, gigantic thing, and you just keep launching stuff, and it's always ever going to be there, right? But that's actually not true, right? We have to build data centers and we have to put computers in them, and there's a finite amount of them. And so for customers that cannot wait or need to have a higher level of service guarantee for capacity availability, they can now use capacity reservations, right?
That is correct. Right. So for customers that are planning for surge in demand, let's say like Black Friday, or even for folks who are doing disaster recovery. Today, what you have to do, or at least until we had reservations, you had to like launch the VMs and kind of sit on them. Now, what you can do is just reserve that capacity, and then that capacity is guaranteed for your tenancy. And what we also do is to make it attractive for customers. We provide like a 15% discount of whatever your rate is on those instances while it's idle.
Got it.
And then when you want to use it, just launch a VM or launch a bare metal on top of that capacity, and it's always going to be there.
Fantastic. Cool. And so on the flip side of this, on the other hand, if you don't care about capacity being taken away from you, you can use something like Preemptable, where essentially it's kind of like we fire sale our capacity so you can use it for whatever you like, assuming that you're okay with us taking it back whenever we need it.
That's
right?
correct. So that's perfectly put, right? So it's the other end of what those workloads are, right? You've got a workload that's transient or fault tolerant, and so like scientific workloads where you're spooling a bunch of clusters, running a bunch of compute, and then you want to shut it back down. Preemptable really allows you to take advantage of our unused capacity, right? And so you get preemptable VMs at a 50% discount of whatever your rate is. And then you get to run that workloads. It's just like any other normal VM. And then when we want to reclaim it back, because let's say there's other customers who want on-demand capacity, then we send a signal to the VM that you can monitor for. And within 30 seconds to a minute, you can save your workload, and then we reclaim that VM back.
Got it. Cool. So That was a very quick sort of like look into these features. I'm sure we can kind of dig into that and really play around and experiment with these use cases. But hey, I just want to say thanks for coming on the show, and you're getting a very, very quick sliver of these things. And I'm guessing all these things available for customers to go in, sign up for an account, and start using, right?
Absolutely. All of these are GA, all of these are available in all our regions. So if you're a trial, you can sign up for a trial account, or if you have an existing account, just go ahead and start using it.
And get some free Ampere cores while you're at it, right?
Well,
Yeah.
that's a separate process, but absolutely. I mean, we are really excited about what ARM holds and what people are really going to start to develop on the Ampere A1 is something that we are really keen to see.
Got it. Great. Well, thank you, Sanjay, and for everybody else, catch me in another episode. Bye-bye.